While you're watching this video, 25 million North Koreans cannot choose their careers, their homes, or even their hairstyles. They have never experienced freedom of speech, not for a single day of their lives. Today, you'll hear from someone who risked everything to escape this world's most repressive regime. She's a former elite interpreter who worked for the highest levels of power. But after discovering the truth, she made an impossible choice. Freedom or death. This is her extraordinary story. If these stories matter to you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us bring these untold stories to light. Together, we can be a voice for those who cannot speak. Recently, there have been unusual movements among North Korea's high-ranking officials. A Pyongyang elite interpreter escaped with classified information, and the investigators at the National Intelligence Service were all shocked. After hearing her testimony, this is a story that hasn't been reported in the news, and it starts now. I graduated from Pyongyang University of Foreign Studies and worked as an interpreter for an international organization under the party. As the daughter of an elite family trusted by Kim Jong-un, I was proud of that life. Of course, until that incident happened. That day was just another ordinary spring day. My friend Hyejin installed something on my phone, and I went to the bathroom. I turned off the light and turned on my phone. My hands were shaking. The first video I saw was a testimony from a defector from South Korea. The lives of defectors living freely in South Korea. The truth about North Korea that they spoke of. My hands were shaking so much that I couldn't even hold my phone properly. From that day on, I secretly continued to watch. Testimonies from defectors. The oppression and suffering in North Korea. The deaths of 3 million people. The corruption of the leadership. And I realized something. The system I belonged to was rotten. My father must have known too. He was a high-ranking official in the State Security Department, so he couldn't have been unaware. But my father remained silent. I spent several nights in contemplation. I realized that I couldn't live alone knowing this truth. I thought someone had to tell the world. So I made up my mind to leave Pyongyang. From now on, I will reveal the truth witnessed by the daughter of a Pyongyang elite family, as well as the shocking testimony that took place at the National Intelligence Service investigation room. Your subscriptions and likes can be a source of hope for our fellow countrymen trapped in silence. The more this video is shared, the more people can learn about the true state of North Korea. Thank you. A defector living freely in South Korea. He spoke the truth about North Korea. His face showed seriousness and sadness. My hands trembled, and I couldn't hold my phone properly. I watched videos all night. Testimonies of defectors. Events happening in North Korea. The claim that 3 million people starved to death. The corrupt lives of the leadership. And I realized the system I belonged to was rotten. My father would know too. He's a high-ranking official in the State Security Department, so he wouldn't be unaware. But my father remained silent. That night, I turned off my phone and lay in bed. From now on, my life will change. I'll be standing between two worlds. At dawn, I heard my father preparing to go to work. I had breakfast with him like a normal daughter. But my mind was already far from Pyongyang. Hyejin's words came to mind. What you've discovered can't be undone. You'll live between two worlds. From the day I returned to Pyongyang, I was a changed person. During the day, I worked as an interpreter, and at night, I watched YouTube. My mind was further shaken. This was my first realization. Night after night, I watched YouTube in the bathroom using the VPN Hyejin had installed for me. At first, I was cautious. I only wanted to watch 1 or 2 videos and stop. But there was an algorithm. When I watched one video, similar ones were automatically recommended. After watching an expose video from inside North Korea, the next one that came up was a defector's testimony. After watching a defector's testimony, the next one that came up was an international human rights report. It was as if the algorithm was pulling me along, saying, "Watch this, watch that." And I went along with it. I couldn't resist. For the first few days, everything seemed suspicious. This must be American propaganda. South Korea must have made it up. They must be spreading false information. But the witnesses in the videos I watched were different. They weren't people paid to lie. They were people shedding tears while talking about their fathers, mothers, and siblings. One of the first videos I watched was about the arduous march of the 1990s. It claimed that 3 million people had starved to death. I had learned about it in school. There was something called the arduous march, but it was described as a trial. Our people endured, and a glory overcome under the wise leadership of the leadership. But the video told a different story. It said that 3 million people really died. The government did nothing. People had to buy food with money. But since they had no money, they ate grass and died. There were people who tried to cross the border at the risk of their lives, and there were soldiers who caught them. I cried all night. The faces of the people I saw on the screen, their voices, their tears. It couldn't be false. I began to think that what I learned in school might also be false. Our textbooks, our news, our leaders' words, they could all be false. I looked for more videos. Testimonies of defectors. Stories of experiences in North Korea. Starvation, oppression, surveillance. My heart grew heavier. And at the same time, anger rose. Our government is oppressing people like this? Our leader allows this? As I dug deeper, I learned another reality. The corrupt lives of the leadership. The privileges enjoyed by the leader's family. The ruling class monopolizing foreign currency. While ordinary people starved, the upper class in Pyongyang drank foreign liquor. They drove foreign cars. Their children played at overseas entertainment spots. All of this was in the videos. But my father was part of that class. He's a high-ranking official in the State Security Department, so he would know about this injustice. He knew, yet he remained silent. I resented my father. At the same time, I felt sorry for him, because he too was trapped in that system. My mind began to waver. The ideological education I received at school during the day seemed false. Even when I smiled at foreigners while working as an interpreter, my heart no longer believed. Only my soul was leaving, unbeknownst to anyone. This was my second realization. My first realization was, there is another world. My second realization was, the country I belong to is truly wrong. And that realization could no longer be undone. In early 2024, I made a decision. I can't live like this. It had been months since I started watching YouTube. During those months, my mind kept wavering, living as an elite in Pyongyang during the day, and knowing the truth of another world at night. It was too hard. Every morning, when I looked in the mirror, I felt like a lie. I didn't think I was alone. My father would know too. He would know about the injustice of the leadership. But why was he silent? Why didn't he help our family escape from here? Maybe he was afraid too? Maybe he was trapped in the State Security Department? Or had he already given up? I tried to tell my mother cautiously, but I couldn't. I was afraid of what would happen if this was discovered. Even if my mother spoke to someone out of compassion, if it reached someone's ears, our family would be finished. So I kept this secret to myself. But I couldn't stay silent anymore. The more videos I watched, the angrier I became. 3 million people starved to death. Yet no one took responsibility? According to defectors' testimonies, there are people being oppressed and dying in North Korea. Yet the world doesn't know? And people like my family, who enjoy privileges, remain silent. I couldn't stay silent. For them and for myself. What if I died here? What if I lived under oppression and then died? My life would be too unfair. I felt that my life should be mine. My decision to defect was driven by pure motives. At first, it was an abstract thought. I want freedom. Over time, more specific reasons emerged. First, I couldn't continue living here, knowing the truth, and lying. Second, I wanted to resist this regime. Third, if I were discovered, my family would be destroyed. So I had to leave first. The hardest part was thinking about my family. Leaving my father behind filled me with guilt. I felt sorry for abandoning my mother and siblings. I was afraid that if the government found out I had left, my family could be implicated. I went to my father's grave. He had already passed away. I bowed before it. Father, I can no longer stay in this land. Please forgive me, I said. Then I took one last look around my hometown. The streets of Pyongyang, the scenery of the Taedong River, the park where I played as a child. Tears welled up as I realized I might never return. I thought this might be my final farewell. My mother and siblings didn't know I was leaving. I couldn't tell them goodbye. It was too dangerous. All I had prepared was money. I exchanged the money I had saved in the market for foreign currency. Then I found the contact information of a broker for defectors online. It was a very risky thing to do, but I was determined. I had made an irreversible decision. I was prepared to die. But at the same time, I had a strong desire to live. That desire pushed me forward. Think about it. For a 30-year-old woman born and raised in Pyongyang, to leave everything behind was a huge decision. My father's generation knew the pain of families separated by the Korean War. But I had to make an even more absolute farewell, an irreversible one. In the spring of 2024, the day finally came. At 3 a.m., I packed only what I could carry: cash, ID, and my phone. I left everything else behind. The necklace my parents gave me, childhood photos, all my memories. In that moment, I left Pyongyang behind. We left Pyongyang by car with a broker and 2 other defectors. We all crouched low in case the police appeared. The car was silent. No one spoke. We were all thinking about death. When we reached the Yalu River at night, the moon was out, but clouds kept covering it. The broker said, "We're lucky. If it was too bright, we might be spotted by patrols." My body shook with fear. I thought this might be my last night. "From now on, don't move. Don't make a sound," the broker said. We climbed a mountain path. Stones got into my shoes, but I couldn't move. Someone might be tracking us. It felt like we walked for 2 hours, or maybe forever. My legs could no longer move. I could hardly breathe. I was so tense. Then I saw the Yalu River. Moonlight glinted on the dark water. A quiet, flowing river. It was beautiful, but also terrifying. I thought crossing that river would start a new life. Or I might die there. "Go in," the broker said. I went into the water up to my chest. It was freezing cold. Even in April, the river was like winter. The cold water made my body go numb. "Don't move. Follow me," the broker said. We crossed the river, one step at a time, over slippery stones. Halfway across, one of the defectors fell. For a moment, patrol lights shone on the riverbank. We froze. We couldn't move in any direction. The lights seemed to be getting closer. My heart felt like it would burst. I thought this might be death, that this river would be my end. But the lights turned away. They went in another direction. We kept walking. I could no longer feel my fingers or toes. But I kept moving, with the determination to live. I kept thinking I would be finished if North Korean soldiers caught us. I saw the Chinese riverbank. With my last step, I collapsed. I sat on the bank and cried. I couldn't stop my body from shaking. The other defector was crying too. We had made it. We had crossed the river. We were no longer North Koreans. "Don't move. Hide," the broker said. We hid in the dark bushes until morning. That night, I looked at the sky. The same stars as in Pyongyang, but this sky was a free sky. I smelled the scent of freedom for the first time. At dawn, we moved. We entered a village. We must have looked suspicious. But thankfully, no one said anything. That's how I left North Korea. In a way, I could never return. It was a watershed moment in my life. Can you imagine the fear and hope of crossing the Yalu River? That was the turning point of my life. The scariest thing was the police checks. They came twice a month to verify IDs. My heart would sink every time. If my fake ID was discovered, it would be the end. But I was lucky. No one suspected me. My North Korean accent faded over time. Then I met a Korean missionary at a subway station. I was starving and collapsed. He took me to the hospital and first spoke the word hope to me. "There's a country called Korea. If you go there, you can live freely." Those words saved me. My aunt was also kind, secretly giving me food. I lived in China for a year, constantly torn between life and death. Some days I thought I'd die there. Other days I thought I could survive in Korea. But Korea seemed so far away. The missionary kept helping me, contacting the Korean consulate. Finally, I could apply to enter Korea. We took a dangerous route through Southeast Asia. Without the missionary's help, I would have died in China. My aunt and the missionary are my saviors. That was my second escape. The final hurdle remained. The journey through Thailand and Cambodia was long and dangerous. I was always anxious someone would track me or the Chinese police would appear. The missionary took care of me at every stop, providing shelter and food. We were all heading to Korea. When I reached the Korean consulate in Thailand, I cried. I was finally safe from repatriation. The consular staff welcomed me as a refugee, not a mister. "You're safe now. Korea will accept you." My legs went weak. After 8 years hiding in North Korea and China, I could finally live. But I was still anxious until the last moment. Soon, my plane ticket arrived. My name was on the passenger list. It was real. As the plane took off, I looked at the sky, Pyongyang, China, and now the sky above. I felt like I was in a dream, needing someone to shake me awake. Is this really happening? 3 years earlier, I had watched YouTube in a Pyongyang bathroom. Now I was on a plane. It felt surreal. The plane flew on, toward my new destination. I didn't look out the window to avoid any potential danger. Instead, I closed my eyes and prayed. Mom, Dad, siblings, I'm alive now. I'm going to a free country. I hope to see you again someday. The plane began its descent. The sky outside was bright. It was different from Pyongyang's sky. It was a free sky. And finally the ground came into view. We are arriving in Korea. I cried again. Incheon Airport appeared. It was the start of my new life. My heart pounded. I had truly reached the land of freedom. It had been 8 years since I left Pyongyang. Now my real life was beginning. On my first day in Korea, I underwent NIS investigation. For 3 months, they asked who I was, where I came from, and what I knew. The investigators were kind, not threatening. This was unimaginable in Pyongyang. Next, I went to Hana Center, an education center for North Korean defectors. There, I learned how to live in Korea, the market economy, using a cell phone, riding the subway. Everything was new. The most shocking was the convenience store, open 24 hours with so many items. In Pyongyang, everything was rationed. Here, I could buy whatever I wanted with money. The first time I ate chicken, I cried. I started attending classes to work as an interpreter, learning Korean and getting necessary certifications. My life had restarted. But at night, I felt lonely. When North Korean news came on TV, I thought of my mom. How were my siblings and father's family doing? What had happened to my family after I left? South and North Korea were so different: language, food, culture, mindset. At first, everything was unfamiliar. But over time, I adapted. People treated me warmly, not asking about my past, just encouraging me to live well here now. This was truly appreciated. Now I work as an interpreter, not as an elite like in Pyongyang, but as a free person. This is much more meaningful. My interpreting skills are improving, and I'm making new friends. I want to say this to you all. Freedom is truly precious. I've come to deeply understand how valuable the freedom many take for granted is. Though I miss my parents, I'm alive. I live in freedom. Just for this, I'm grateful. And I dream of reunification. Someday, I want to step on my hometown's mountains and rivers again, see my mother's face. For that day, I will keep living. I hope our generation will see reunification. That is my lifelong wish. This is my story. Finally, I have one request for you all. Your subscriptions and likes can be a hope for our compatriots trapped in silence. The more this video is shared, the more people can know the true face of North Korea. Thank you. That is my lifelong wish. This is my story. Lastly, I have one request for you. Your subscriptions and likes can bring hope to countless compatriots trapped in silence. The more this video is shared, the more people can learn about the true face of North Korea. Thank you.